how far past the ball can you keep your arms straight before they bend with no turn? Probably about there.
Yep,
right?
that's
That's about it. So if we remove the body rotation, remove the turn pieces out of it, for a lot of you that look at a chicken wing, hey Eric, how do I fix this chicken wing, right? Well, even Carl, right, who does this, she's mobile, she's strong, she can move well, she can get to about 45 degrees past impact, maybe, but nowhere near arms parallel to the ground. So she has, so let's add the turn in. She has to add the turn in, the shoulders being more square, the hips being more square, into the follow through to do that. I'd like to thank Audible for sponsoring today's video. I love Audible. That's where I go to listen to my audiobooks. For me, the best thing is I can listen and consume and learn on the go and not have to be sitting down reading a book. I could listen to the audiobooks, whatever I'm doing. I personally just listened to That Will Never Work by Mark Randolph. He's a guy who started a little company called Netflix you might have heard of. Really love that, enjoyed the story. I also like all the golf selections. There's over 1,000 different golf selections on Audible. I really like the Bob Rotella mental books, but there's so many good selections. We would all improve our game if we just spent a couple minutes a day listening to these books on there. It's super cool. They also have a great Plus catalog, so it's more than just the books. There's audiobooks, podcasts, Audible originals, there's fitness, meditation programs, everything you need. And every month, the members get one free audiobook. How cool is that? And you get full access to the Plus catalog. You get a 30-day free trial, so you can try it out risk-free. Just make sure you use Eric, so you could text Eric, that's E-R-I-C, to 500-500, or go to audible.com/Eric, and you'll get that 30-day free trial. I love Audible. Tons of learning to do, super simple and risk-free. Go ahead and click the link down below to check it out. All right, guys, welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one simple follow-through technique to reduce your handicap for good. Obviously, you guys can see I'm not out here by myself. I have Miss Carolina Romero over to my right here. You guys may know her as Fit Golfer Girl, both on Instagram and YouTube. She has some really awesome content on there, different strength programs, mobility, golf, fitness stuff. Would highly suggest you guys go check that out. We'll include that in a link down below in the description in the first link below. She's been awesome enough to come out today, and we're going to talk about this follow-through technique. So with no further ado, if you would take your setup position there, Carl.
Of course.
So there's a couple things here in the follow-through, right, that we would say would have a one-to-one correlation with handicap level. So if you take your setup for me, Carl, and let's get, I'm going to move you move with me. Let's get into a follow-through position when about the hands are, let's say, hip high into the follow-through. So this for you as a good player should feel like fairly normal and comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, there's two things here we would look at that we could sort of do a spectrum. That you would look at handicap levels of, let's say, scratch handicap, pro golfer, 10 handicap, 20, 30, etc. And it has to do with the length of the arms and then really the distance of the butt of the club away from the torso. So you have demonstrated this beautifully, right? This would be in line with, let's say, like a scratch handicap player. If we put like 1,000 pictures of them up and we said, hey, what do they do in common? This would be one picture that would be the same. Now, if we were to bring this in, put my hand on your back, if we bring this in slightly, you start to bend your arms, and now the arms start to bend a little bit, the butt of the club starts to get closer to you. Now this is starting to look more like maybe a 10, 15.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to feel a little stuck here.
That's right, not a lot of space, not a lot of room, maybe a chicken wing, right, people complain about. If we go in even farther, like this, and then the butt of the club's the closest, the arms are the bent. Now for you, that should feel really goofy.
Yeah.
But if we looked at face-on videos, this would be very much in line with what we would see with, let's say, a 30, 40 handicap player. So let's go back to the good version, arms fully away. So this feels more normal, arms straight, elbows close together, right? Hands and butt of the club are far away from the body. So that's really the goal of what we're looking to do into our follow-through. If we can take our setup one more time. Now, there's a couple things we can do earlier on that are going to obviously make that easier or more difficult. And one of the pieces is body rotation. Let's go right from here into that same follow-through position. Don't hit that ball for me. Perfect. So if we go into here where, let's say the arms and club are more parallel to the ground, let's go even a little bit farther. One of the things that's going to allow this or not allow this is how much your body turns, right? So one of the pieces we would look at here, essentially the more turn you have, the easier this will be. If you try and keep the butt of the club here, but start turning your body back that way, that gets pretty tough pretty quick, right?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, like when I'm here, my hips all the way turned.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple checkpoints here that I would look for if you stay there for 1 second. So a couple of things when we get the arms parallel that are going to help, like you mentioned. I would say you'd look at the shoulders being square, or some might call this like a 90-90-90 drill. So at this point, the shoulders being square, we could look at the hips being square, and we could even look at the knees. If you allow this knee to come forward a little, we could even look at the knees being closer to square. Obviously, the farther back that knee goes, if you plant that heel back, put that back down, that's obviously going to bring that trail hip farther back. That makes it harder for the rotation
Way
pieces.
harder. This does not feel very
Yeah,
comfortable.
you can relax for a second. So the turning pieces, right? Let's take your setup one more time. So if you keep your body where you're at here, Carl, so don't add any hip turn, don't add any shoulder turn, and see how far past the ball, just get rid of this. How far past the ball can you keep your arms straight before they bend with no turn? Probably about there,
Yep,
right?
that's it.
About it. So if we remove the body rotation, remove the turn pieces out of it, for a lot of you that look at a chicken wing, hey Eric, how do I fix this chicken wing, right? Well, even Carl, right, who does this, she's mobile, she's strong, she can move well, she can get to about 45 degrees past impact, maybe, but nowhere near arms parallel to the ground. So she has, so let's add the turn in. She has to add the turn in, the shoulders being more square, the hips being more square, into the follow through to do that. Let's take your setup one more time. And I'm sure you see that all the time, Carl, with people who complain about some follow-through pieces and maybe they can't turn enough or haven't got enough turn. And the second piece, let's do that one more time into the follow-through. So the other piece that goes along with this, and I would look at this as if, let's say I were to pull this club. If I pull this club away from you, you would athletically respond by pulling back,
yeah.
right? So you'd get your sternum or chest more up towards the sky, right? There'd be a little bit more extension. Now, if we did the opposite, if we allowed this, I start to push back this butt of the club towards you and let it come towards you, let it fall in. So here like this, right, there's a look we're not going for. Now, if I push towards you and you try and fight it, go ahead and do it, fight it, fight it, fight it. What that's gonna have you do is you're gonna have your chest more down, right? Your sternum's gonna be more down towards the ground. Now, the more down towards the ground, even exaggerate more, forward, 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 the more forward you go past impact, the more your arms are gonna start to bend, start to fold them. As a natural byproduct, right? It's very difficult to literally get that club head thrown away from you when your body's so far forward. Now let's go sternum back. Yeah, bingo. So the more you sort of feel like your shirt buttons are back a little bit, your chin and neck are up towards the sky, that should feel easier, more athletic. More space.
Room, definitely feels more comfortable.
Yeah, more turn, more extension, makes it easier for the arms parallel. Let's do one more setup, Carl. And let's go back into that follow through just one more time for me. Good. So these would be the first positions I would look at if I was someone looking to lower my handicap. I'd say, can I maximize the distance the club head is away from me or my torso? It should be literally as far away as you could possibly get your club head, right? So if we look at that relative to my chest, start to bend those arms a little bit. The farther that gets away, higher handicap, poor strike, right, etc. Better. 90 degrees turn with the shoulders, 90 with the hip. A little bit of extension would help with the sternum up, right? Now, we got all that? You with me on all those things?
Yep.
Okay, so let's take our setup over time. Now, why is any of that important? Like, why does having the arm straight past impact, why is that really the #1 thing that's gonna lower your handicap or not? Well, there's a couple things that it's really gonna correlate to, and you can relax for a second, Carl. If we say, hey, I wanna be good at golf, like what are the variables that I'm looking at? I would say, I'm gonna answer for you. I would say contact should be good, right? I wanna have some club face control, so direction, and I'd like to hit it pretty far. Right, those are gonna be the main things. Hit it good, control my direction, hit it far enough. Well, if you take your setup one more time again, the arms bending or being straight is gonna influence all three of those. So starting with the contact point, if I know we wanna be able to hit ball first, ground second, when you come down, if you bend your arms for me, Carl, just bring them in. Obviously, when you bend the arms, that gets the club head the farthest from the ball, right? So very difficult to hit ball and ground when the arms are bent. A lot easier if we straighten those out, right? So contact-wise, right? From a loft perspective, when we get into the follow-through and we get the arms very bent, let's bend them bad version, and this left wrist starts to go, right? You feel all jammed up there.
100%.
If we bring the same alignment with your arms and hands back down into impact, there's our loft.
That's open.
That's no bueno, right? That's high, short, right. So from a directional perspective, if we do the straight version again, and I bring this, let's transport this back down to impact. You see how there's gonna be less loft there compared to normal? As if I'm gonna preset some of that shaft lean, right? So there we have our distance part with the loft. We have our low point piece, right, with being able to hit the ground. And then we got the face control. So I don't have my little face control thing back there, but the more you bend your arms and let the left wrist break, the more that club face is constantly changing where it's pointed relative to where you swing. If we bring that back down here and you start to bend your arms and bend your wrist, the more I'm doing that as I'm swinging the club, that club face is constantly changing where it's pointed. So quite literally, that should feel goofy for you.
It feels horrible, yeah.
Quite literally, it does all three of those things, right?
Yeah.
It's like hit it more solid, better face control, more distance. So, okay, right? The arms need to be straight. Okay, I get it. It has a one-to-one correlation with handicap. Okay, it affects all those things. But how do I practice that, right? How do we actually train this and do this? I think, Carl, the best way to be able to do this, if you take your setup here right next to the ball, just inside where that tee's at, I think the best way to train this is from a setup right to a follow-through with no backswing. So similar to what you were doing before, if I put this in here, and I'd actually, let's bring your feet a smidge closer together. That'll be easier with the shuffle. If we go right from here into arms parallel to the follow-through, and you're thinking and checking these three things, right? I'm looking at, hey, my arms are extended here. I'm gonna twist this a touch. My arms are fully extended away. I have my chest, my shoulders and hips fully turned 90 to the target. And then when you look from face on, you really want to see, like if I had a belt buckle on, that my hips would be the farthest thing or the closest thing to the target relative to my sternum. So there'd be a little bit of extension in there. And I would look a mirror, video, or et cetera from face on and be practicing that. Let's do that just from setup. So no backswing right into that spot. It's hard in the beginning when people try and do with no backswing too. You want to have like a little bit of momentum back there. So I'm going to put my foot back there one more time. Into the follow through, arms extended, good. So perfect turning, shoulders and hips, extension, arms fully pushed away. And for you that feels...
Yeah, this feels normal, but I can see how for a lot of people it's not very comfortable because I'm really turning here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, my whole body's turning, not just my arms.
Yeah, full body turn. And I think a lot of people, you can take your setup again, and I think a lot of us can get into that spot better if we train it like this and are more aware of where we're trying to get to, right?
100%.
Into the follow through. So once we have a good feel for that from there, what I would do next, Carl, is I would take this club back and let's get to about parallel to the ground. So here we're parallel to the ground. Now from here with no more backswing, let's start to go right from there into the follow through. So just from there into the follow through, good. And then we're looking at the same thing, right? Arms fully extended, butt of the club pushed away. I'm gonna say it's 200 times. Shoulders and hips fully square, and the hips are closer than the chest at the finish position.
Got it.
That's beautiful. Let's do that one more time. So club goes parallel to the ground, good, and then right from there into the follow through. And I would just building block this up if I want to work and relax. If I want to build this in, and once you go from club parallel, then you go to like left arm parallel, same thing, just kind of step one, step two, step three. And once you can do 2 or 3 reps in a row, then you start to put a ball in, start to hit those pieces. But if we brought in, which I wish, like as I was coaching, I would have cataloged swings more to have examples. If we could just put pictures of like 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 handicap, and you and I looked at them, you did like spot the differences, we would both immediately look at that follow through spot and be like, oh my gosh, like those 0 handicaps, arms fully extended, the high handicaps, no turn in here. So that's really the one thing into the follow through that I think is the most important. I think those pieces all make sense. 100%. It's pretty simple.
You know what? It just kind of came to my mind. Have you ever seen a little kid swing?
Yes.
How they're always so extended?
Yeah,
versus like an older golfer?
Yes.
And it's literally the opposite.
It's the exact opposite motion. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that too. I think those kids probably can move better.
Yep.
You know, I think those kids have no notion of what they're trying to do and just swing athletically. And I hope that those follow through positions, we're going to do some more work on some of this with Carl and some of our swing stuff here in a little bit. But I hope those follow through pieces I think make sense. That's how we train them. You guys saw us hitting some balls with them, doing the swing. Start at a setup position, hit those 3 key checkpoints. Arms fully extended, shoulders and hips 90, belt buckles more forward than the sternum location. That's how you train your follow through. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment down below for Carl or I. Again, we're gonna link her YouTube video in there. If you did enjoy this, we're gonna leave a card on the screen, similar style YouTube video. If you guys wanna check out Cogorno Golf, work with us on your game, we'll put that card on the screen as well.